Okay, back by popular demand. Recently, we did a video where I basically ran through the behind the scenes, like the bits that you may not be able to see when an auction is taking place live, and we did that with Savills last time. So this time we are joining Auction House London for their 10th of December 2025 auction. We have missed lot number one, which was Clifford Road in Wembley. That property is sold, and we join the action with lot number two, which is in Perivale. Let's unmute Andrew and see what he's going through. Okay, so that's good prompting. He's done his 3-2-1 count. He knows there's still a little bit of juice left in the bidders. Essentially, what he can see on his screen in front of them, in the same way that probably the way Savills were able to see it, is he can see everybody that's online, and when they're moving, it's activating. So on his screen, they're moving up the order, so he can see who's moving, who's clicked once, who's clicked twice to bid. He can see all of that. So all he's doing there is prompting everybody, and you can see he used that as kind of a mechanism to try and draw out another couple of bids. That one didn't sell, unsold at 397. That looked like it was just a vacant three-bedroom house. I'm going to try and have a look. Um, I grew up not far from Perivale, and Wembley actually. So the first two properties are in my back garden, essentially. Um, where are you now? Eltham. Yeah, this one is Southeast London. Let's just have a quick look at what Auction House London are selling here. Okay, he's probably telling us to be fair, so let's give him a chance. Oh, we're already bidding. We're already bidding and missed it. This is another vacant three-bedroom terrace house. Um, and for those that care, EPC rating C. That's important stuff these days. Okay, so this is definitely selling. This was guided at 300,000. They're up to 370, well over the 10% reserve mark. So with all expectation, Andrew will be banging the gavel down on this one. Let's see where he's at. Okay, so the way he's speaking here is he's moved down from 5,000, well, I think it was 10,000, 5,000 increments, and he looks like he's down to 1,000 increments. And when he says, oh, you're at this, I'm at that, that tells me that there is a proxy bid in play. And the proxy bid is essentially when someone isn't available to bid online, maybe they're traveling, maybe they haven't got good Wi Fi signal or phone signal, so they put in their maximum bid with the auctioneer, and it's the auctioneer's job to kind of bid on their behalf and try and get it for them as far below their price as possible, while still allowing for other bidders in the room to bid and get to the best price. Um, it is a good way to bid at auction. If you are restricted by time, maybe you're in important meetings, you don't want to miss the opportunity. So it's very, very suitable for a subset of people that just cannot make the auction or focus and bid or be on the phone. Where are we? 381. Okay. In the time I've been rabbiting on, it sounds like he's outbid the proxy. So there are two bidders who are bidding, and they've bid over the proxy amount. So he's no longer bidding for anybody. So one of the things I like about Andrew as an auctioneer is that very, very small statement there is just between the two of you. One of you is winning this. These are all statements that create a competitive kind of nature. And you'll see here that's Jamie Weir, one of the other auctioneers. And you'll see here um, creating that environment where it's not about the price you're willing to pay, it's about the other person you're against, is a really cool tactic for auctioneers to use to kind of keep the bidding going. We're now £90,000 above guide. Let's see where they end up. Okay, interesting. So there were two people fighting out in the main, and in the last minute, what we call a snipe bidder, someone who was probably bidding on things on eBay in the early 2000s, where you could wait for the very last second and snipe and win it. You're not going to have that opportunity with an auctioneer or the online bidding. If you're bidding online, it's got the time thing that's ticking down. If you bid within the last minute or 30 seconds, the timer resets another minute. So there is no sniping anymore. Um, but let's see who won. 392, 92k above the guide price. Okay, whatever that side conversation was, basically what you saw there was a property that would be like a 50-50, whether it was going to sell or not sell, or something else was going on. Perhaps there weren't enough people registered or hadn't paid their reserve deposit or whatever. And the post-it note he just received was basically saying, oh, it's no longer a 50-50. We have bidders that are going to be online. They paid the reserve deposit. They've done all of these things. We're now good to list this. So that's a really important little thing that we caught there. Sometimes they cut the sound off, so you don't really get to be part of those conversations. But here we are. Okay, so this is again a three-bedroom terrace house, EPC rating C. He'll need this to go over 330 for it to sell. So let's see how he gets on with it. Waving the hands, getting the attention, showing the gavel, moving around, creating distraction. A little twizzle of the gavel. There you go. A bit of auctioneer magic. Okay, so if you saw the last video we did where we were reviewing about 10-15 lots with Savills, if you haven't seen it, we'll put a link in the description. But what he's doing here is he's saying, right, we're £2,000 bids. He's run it. He's trying to count down. He's not getting the reaction he wants. It's like, okay, well, let's drop down to £1,000 bid, which he got. He was originally asking for 327 in 2,000 bids. He's now got to 327 using £1,000 bids. So by changing the increment, you can get bidders back into place, get them back engaging with you as an auctioneer, which is really important. Knowing when to cut the increments of the bidding down is a real fine art. I promise it's not me bidding, Mr. J. It's not me. All right, 328. Not sold. Oh, wow, he tricked me. He had a disappointed look on his face, but that's sold 328. Um, so yeah, excellent. Lovely bit of Uxbridge. Let's have a look and see what we're buying in Uxbridge, or what's available to be bought in Uxbridge. Okay, I don't feel so bad. So lot 4A, the property comprises a three-bedroom semi-detached house over ground and first floors. Plans have been drawn up for the erection of a one-bedroom chalet bungalow. No planning application has been submitted for the schemes. Drawing of the proposed plans are available for inspection upon request. Auction House London make no representations or warranties with regards to this scheme and the validity of the aforementioned plans. Buyers must rely on their own inquiries with regards to any development potential. Permissions required on any previous planning history in respect to this site. So, essentially, it's a house. Someone has put together a plan of a rear chalet bungalow to try and create an element of value. For us, we would call this hope value. Um, where did we start the guiding at 375, and we join the action at 400. Let's see how Andrew gets on. No, no deal, no deal. Moving swiftly on to lot 5, which is in Deptford. This looks more like something we'd be kind of interested in. This is a mixed terrace building arranged as lower ground and ground floor commercial unit with first floor ancillary space and a garage to the rear. Again, it's fully let as it is for £14,640. Planning has been it's offered with planning permission, not submitted. Planning permission to convert the first floor into a flat and the erection of a three-story house to the rear. Um, Plans have been drawn up for the erection of the duplex flat and the first and second floor flats to the rear. So there are plans and planning permission in place for a bit of a full redevelopment, and in the meantime, you are getting the income from the shop. So let's see where Andrew is on lot 5. He may have kicked the bidding off already. It's guided at 365, uh, and he started the bids below that, which is unusual for Andrew. Let's have a look and see how he gets on with it. Okay, so again, more kind of creating the competition, right? Got loads of you online, got plenty on the phone. There's lots going on here. This is kind of create the momentum, get people in the mood, get them bidding, get them clicking, getting them to say that they want to bid when they're on the phone. Nothing worse than you're in the auction room, you're on phone duty, you pick up the phone and you hear, "Oh no, I just wanted to hear the auction." I could hear it online. Some of them just want to sit in on the phone. They don't bid. It's horrendous. It's such a yeah. It's so annoying. But let's see how they get on. Okay, we know that there are three telephone bidders at least, and then a bunch of online bidders as well. So 395 offer guide of 365. Probably close to reserve here. There's a chance this is going to sell. So again, change bidding down from 5k bids to 2k bids. There seems to be a little bit of back and forth between one of the 10 phone bidders and one of the online bidders. So what's brilliant about Andrew is he does this right. There's just people that will go, oh, you can't sell it for 399. What a strange number. I've got to be selling it for 400 or 405 or 410. You know, it's got to end with a zero or a five, right? And we're almost kind of like conditioned into that. So it's like, yeah, let's just round it up. What's another £1,000, right? And that's a really cool way for someone to go, okay, yeah, what is another £1,000? Let me just kind of one more bid and I'm done. I'm done, I promise. Until the next bid. But they didn't round him up. They went over to 401. So he's now got another example to go, oh, we can't end at 401. Let's get to 405. Let's keep bidding. Let's see what he says. But he sold it 401. And he wouldn't have got that if he did, unless he said, come on, let's round it up. Let's get to the next bid. Okay, again, unusual for Auction House London. He started the bidding 15k below the listed guide price. There may have been a reserve reduction, there may have been anything like that. This is a 3 bedroom terrace house in Streatham, and the particulars are kind of drawing the attention to maybe you can do a loft extension. Again, creating the value of hope, pointing people in the direction of refurb extension, you know, maybe for someone who's going to do a flip, for instance, or even a family home. We're at 360, so we're still below guide. But Streatham, nice area, SW16. Let's see how he gets on. There you go. So he's engaging with the bidders. He's telling them what they need to do. He says, "I can see what you're doing." Right. So if perchance you're bidding on auction and then you put the screen away and then you've got an adult site up, the auctioneer can see what you're doing with your mouse. So just be careful with what you're doing there. But he got an extra 5k, so he's dropped the bidding down. He's dropped it down again. We're now at 2k increments. I think he's going to try and push for 400 on this, or as close to it as possible. But there seems to be a number of people bidding. He knew that was coming, right? He knew someone was coming in. So I think it was Mrs. P he mentioned. She's the rebuttal now. He's going to try and get her to 391. Here we go. Hey, Mrs. P picked that up. Okay, she must have been 385 and then someone came in. Let's see. Okay, so 7 years unexpired on the lease. What does that mean? It means that a lease probably started with 99 years on it, right? And it's now only got 7 years left. Arguably, when you get below 50 years, the marriage value, the cost of extending that lease so you can retain the value of the property, you know, the cost of that increases to the freeholder. When you get below 20, 21 years, it gets even harder. But 7 years left. So we've talked about this on this channel several times. What do you do with a property that's only got 2 years, 7 years, 10 years left on it? One of the things is, if you can buy it for the right price, maybe getting 7 years rent on it and then handing it back makes sense. What could you rent, a flat like this for? Good decorative order. It's a one bed flat. Gross internal area 533 square foot. What's the average rent in that area? Is it worthwhile? Or the cost to extend it would be more than a couple of £100,000. So let's have a look how Andrew gets on. It jumped from 150 to 180 really quickly. I know I talk a lot of crap, but it went from 150 to 180. You've got telephone bidders and online bidders here. So what you heard there is Andrew knows what the reserve on this property is, right? And he needs to be able to make sure that the bids get, the last bid that comes in is on reserve in order for the property to sell. Obviously, the job of the auctioneer is for the property to sell above the reserve. Um, what was requested there is one of the telephone bidders said, "Oh, I'll do 186," and he's like, "No, no, we're not dropping down to £1,000 bids yet. There's another five in here somewhere," which he's right. He went from 185 to 190, but it now shows that the telephone bidder is looking at increments at £1,000 to get comfortable. Now he's down at £2,000 bids. Let's join the action back. So what happened there? It was like, oh, okay, you want the £1,000 bid? I have to do it. And then one of the online bidders came in and bid a £2,000 increment. So this telephone bid is trying to slow the bidding down, trying to kind of create a distance between how far and how fast the numbers are jumping to try and create an element of control over the atmosphere that they're in. Very difficult to do, but we're now at 200k, still at £2,000 increments. This telephone bidder must be absolutely raging, right? They're desperately trying to get the increments down to £1,000 bid, but the internet is like, no, we're moving in twos. They're almost kind of freezing the guy out. So let's see how he does. And he's not wrong. These short leasehold flats in London, below a certain number of years, they are really, really good auction stock. Your main issue is a buyer that buys it not knowing what 7 years, remaining is or unexpired. They don't understand the metrics of that. Very, very difficult to fund. So this is going to have to be cash. Even bridging is limited below 20 years. Um, but there are so many things that you can do here to create value and retain value. So let's see how he does. 218 going up in two still. Just a reminder that the bidding here started at 100. Well, the guide was 170. Started the bidding, I think, at 150 from memory, and we're already at the 220 or 224 mark. So the bidding has gone on for here. This is what we would definitely classify this as a bidding war. You've got multiple online bidders, multiple telephone bidders. There's action on this lot. It's definitely selling. Every time someone says Mr. T, I'm like, there's somebody at home bidding, going, I pity the fool who's bidding against me, or something like that. Let's see what's actually going on. 228. So just to put this in context, we're on lot 7. Auction House London have a 2-day auction in the same way that the last time we ran this kind of formatted video, we had Savills, they had a 2-day auction. We joined Savills a little bit later in the day. This is kind of the kickoff for Auction House London. But they'll have over 350 lots, give or take. So we're really very early into it. And this is all about the momentum that they're building up to get them through the day. And this is actually moving at quite a pace. I would say, from memory, Savills was a little bit slower. But Andrew is a force to be reckoned with a tiny hammer in his hand. So let's see how they get. But he got him to 230 off a guide of 170. So we're 60k over here. It's doing a great job for the seller. So Joe's telephone bidder has finally got the increments down to £1,000. He's been doing that, trying to do that for the last £30,000. So let's see how Joe's telephone bidder goes. Okay, so this is actually brilliant from the telephone bidder. We're definitely dealing with somebody here who's got an element of experience. They're not trying to just like slow their bidding down and wait to the third count and do all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really do anything. But what that bidder is doing is they're changing up the pricing increments that they're willing to offer. It keeps the auctioneer on their toes, and it kind of puts off other bidders in some instances, unless you've got someone who is really, really, really gunning for a lot. So Joe's on telephone bidder is really trying to wrestle some degree of control over the bidding, the pricing, and how this ends up. So let's see how successful they are. Let's see if Joe's telephone bidder is the eventual winner. Again, Andrew, I don't want to sound like I'm really bigging Andrew up. His ego is undeniable at the best of times, but he's making it personal. Mrs. K, he's doing this hoping that you're not going to bid, that you're going to back down, that you're going to lose. So it's again, it's moving that kind of competitiveness and making it really personal, removing the fact that you're buying lot 7, which is flat 33, Malcolm Regis Court. None of that matters anymore. It's now between you and another person. So let's see where it goes. Well, I mean, Joe's telephone bidder gave it a good run, but Mrs. K was there from the beginning. We have no idea, obviously, who Mrs. K is. We have no idea who Joe's telephone bidder was, but they fought out for that. Off a guide of 170, sold for 242. A W1G, that's proper Marylebone. We joined the action back at lot 8, and this is Chalk Farm NW1. Let's find out what Chalk Farm is. Here we go. Let's put Andrew's voice back on. That's a real big thing, actually. It's a really big thing. People do a telephone bid, they don't pick up the phone, then they call us up later saying, "Oh, no one tried to contact us, or we didn't know it was you," or all of these different types. The number of excuses. I would have paid more. I'm going to tell the seller that you kind of prevented me from bidding. All of those arguments, auctioneers hear every day. So Andrew kind of pointing out the procedurally we have to call you, or you put yourself in. You've paid a holding deposit. You've done all of these actions. You completed the AML. It's a real arse ache to do all of these things. Pick up the phone. So one bed flat, I think. Okay, so he switched it up from the last couple of lots. He started the bidding on guide, and we're already 10k over. 275 is going to be the minimum at which this can sell for. That's the 10% barrier on reserve. We're already at 270, still going up in tens. Let's see where he gets to. He knows it's not going to sell, but by starting the big theatrics around, okay, 270, let's start counting down. He's trying to pull the interest in. This is the point at which he'll go from a 10k bid down to a 5k bid, just to get the momentum going, and to minimum hit the reserve. It's like there's a script. I don't know. Is this real? This bit I start to question. He starts laughing. He's looking away from the screen. It could entirely be real, but it could just be a case of trying to get as close to the 275 as possible, which should, post auction people go, okay, it got to 274. They want 275. That seems reasonable, right? So sometimes it's creating an expectation of value. I kind of think that's what happened there. Don't shoot me for it. I kind of think that's what happened. Um, but 273 unsold. So we were right in the assumption that 275 is going to be the price to do the deal there. But post auction, any rules go. If you were the real person at 270 or 265, and that's as much as you're willing to go, it then becomes a conversation between the auctioneers and the seller to try and get something agreed at that level. So post auction, if this was something you're looking at, don't waste the time. Call them up now. There's a bank of people in a different room answering calls, getting people registered, doing post auction deals. Do not wait a second, because someone else will steal it from you. Okay, so this one is guided at 120. Started the bidding at 100. It's a vacant ground floor, two-bedroom flat. Needs some works to it. It doesn't look disgusting inside. Just dated, old, needs updating. Importantly, obviously Croydon's a decent value area. This has only got 11. Let me double check that. 11 years unexpired. So that means 11 years left on the lease. So we're already at 130. I promise it's not me, Mr. J. It's a different J. Someone else is bidding. I'm going to get tired of saying that. But we're at 140 off a guide of 120. This property is selling. There are two Mr. J's and another Mr. J reviewing the whole thing. What are the chances? He's moving up in twos. He definitely doesn't see me doing this. He's going to be shocked when this comes out on YouTube that we were quite voyeuristically just reviewing his auction. But yeah, let's crack on. I mean, it's slowed down quite a bit, and he's managed to get almost an extra 15k out of it, and he's dropped the increments down to £1,000 again. So he's starting to feel like we're at the end of this journey. I think if he can motivate the bidders an extra 5 grand over, I think he'll consider that a good job. Remember, it's an 11-year lease, so this is looking like good money without doing any deep research. So just to point out on the properties that we're reviewing today, obviously I've looked through the Auction House London catalogue. None of these are ones that we're buying ourselves or selling ourselves. They're also nothing that we're buying on behalf of clients, and they're nothing that we're selling on behalf of clients. These are just the first 10, 15 properties that are in the auction. We're watching it, and we just thought, let's just take a look. Let's do what we did with Savills. Let's make it interesting. Let's give people the context behind what's actually going. Yeah, he'll be happy with that. £158,000. That one is sold. Okay, so stuff like this, it's good. I mean, the CGI looks good. The way it's laid out looks good. This is what we would consider an infill site. So the picture you can see on the main screen, obviously, it's a single story garage that's there. All right, guided at 150. It's already at 170. There is an 8-week completion offered here. It comes with the full planning, which means you can go onto the planning website and check out all of the floor plans and the pre-planning conditions and all that kind of stuff. But these are nice little things to do. Gone up in five. You tend to find like small builder operators. Okay, telephone bidder is in on this. Joe's telephone bidder. This is obviously not the same telephone bidder. Most likely, it's a different one. So sometimes when these go to auction, people say like, who are buying these? In order for a developer to really make money, they need to be doing volume, right? X number of units. But you find that these tend to be interest pieces. So the majority of the time when I see these smaller developments pop up, it's architects, that have been doing this stuff for years, and all of a sudden they decide I want to do a project, and these small ones are perfect little things for them to do. This should be a good one. Lot 10A, uh, guided at 925. Okay, lot 10A. This and this is something that we would look at for a very very clear reason. The above the tagline on this write up, it says it's been in the same family ownership for over 35 years. Okay, it's well located, 4 room, end of terrace, corner with a corner plot, measuring 170 square meters. Potential for redevelopment. These are kind of like coach houses, carriage houses that are kind of like extended over. Um, Really, really good location, um, and it benefits from off-street parking, which like that's a big thing to be saying in NW1, right in Camden Way. So guided at 925, already at 965. Let's see how Andrew gets on. This is literally minutes down the road from their offices. Um, again, changing the increments down from 5Ks down to 2 has created renewed interest. People are a little bit more comfortable that it's not jumping, it's not moving as quickly. You know, if you have a number in your mind that you're going, right, I'm going to auction, I'm going to pay this amount, you kind of don't want to feel too outpaced too quickly. You want to feel like you have that chance to bid to win. So changing the increments gives people confidence, and it does kind of give you the chance to go, right. I know I paid a 985 for this, but you know there was a chance I could have won it for 984, and you could drive yourself crazy once you win a property, thinking I could have won it an increment less, £1,000 less. It just gets you. So changing the increments can be quite helpful. Mr. T, I don't think it's the same Mr. T from a couple of lots ago. It's very, very different properties. But what you saw there is obviously it was guided, as I said, at 925, which means you can go £92,500 over as a maximum reserve. And it's sold for 976. So it's not always the case that the reserve is the very, very maximum 10% over. Okay. Sometimes it is within that figure. And sometimes the reserve could be the guide price as well. So never ever decide, well, I'm not going to bid because my maximum price isn't here, it's here. Put yourself in the position to get a deal done. Always put yourself in the position to get a deal done. Okay, this was guided at 170, started bidding off at 150. It's up to 180 already. There's definitely a deal happening here. Still confidently going up in tens. This is good bidding. It's good interest. Okay, so what happens is for this live streaming, there is obviously they have this set up in their office, but there's a team that comes in, connects everything up, sound, light, audio, kind of the screen, everything, and then there is a human being. You may think this is automatic. There's a human being that is entering in these bidding increments, so other buyers see where they're at, where they need to go to next. It's all done by person. So that's who he's talking to. Mal is Malcolm. 205, so he's gone down from tens to fives. I think this has got quite a bit more into it. Let's see. Lot number 11, Chatham in Kent. Put my hands up when I'm wrong. It was 205. It wasn't going for a penny more. Um, that moves us on quite nicely to lot number 12, which is in Streatham, SW16. We like a bit of Streatham. This is a 6-room mid-terrace house, which basically means you look. Well, I don't know what that means. What does 6 rooms mean? Kitchen, living room, bathroom, 3 beds, maybe. Is that what we're looking at? This needs a degree of work, quite a degree of work. So this is a proper fixer up. This is prime auction stock. Again, guide price 475. Bidding starts at 450. We're over guide now. Let's see how this goes. We're getting close to reserve and the bidding has slowed down. I think he's going to drop increments down to fives. Let's see. Well, it turns out the Mr. J's are doing well today. 520 sold. Good. Um, let's have a look. Off of a 475, so pretty much on the nose there. We're in Birkbeck Road in Enfield. Again, fixer upper house, 8-week completion, 3 bedrooms. Benefits from a front and from a sorry, benefits from a rear garden and a garage. The garage is round the rear. 365 is the guide. Let's see where Andrew takes us on this. Okay, so guided that this is 365, started at 320, has already declared there are loads of you for this. So making everybody comfortable that the bidding is going to be going above the guide, and it's just trickled above the guide now. So that's a really smart thing he's just done there. He's like, get me to 400, and from 400, we'll break the increments down. I'll make you feel more comfortable when we hit this price point, right? He's essentially engaging with people at this stage to give them the expectation that this is how this is going to go. It is definitely going to 400, so you need to bid to 400, and then I'll make the increments a little bit more friendly for you. Really, really good foreshadowing. All right, they've broken him down. He's already gone down to 5k increments. He's asking for an extra grand. He think in his heart he knows he can get to 400, and I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get people to that price. It's probably where he thinks the strike is going to happen. So we're at 396. So we've got a couple of people that are biting into it. Oh, no. Yes, he told them. He said, "We're gonna get you to 400." That was the strike price. He brought it down to 1,000. He ran out the three count bid, left it an extra 5 seconds on top just to see if anyone would come in. Um, no such luck. But he pushed for that. So somebody's lucky number must have been 12 for there to be a 12A and a 12B on two unrelated properties. But 16 garages, some people will be looking at for income. Some people are thinking, okay, maybe it's 5K a garage, if you were to sell them off to local property owners. Other people will be thinking of some kind of development. And if you look at the catalogue write up for this one, you'll actually see that there's an indicative scheme that's been put together for a residential development. But we're at 120 grand, 16 garages in Enfield. So I'm out, by the way, means that we've outbid the proxy. At 130, the proxy is out. Anyone else is going to be a telephone bidder or an online bidder. Um, but it feels like this one is going to be selling. He started bidding at 100 grand. The guide at auction on their catalogue was 130. Um, let's see. Maybe it's not going to sell. We're not going to have to wait long to find out. So I'd say, like, put in the comments what you think is going to happen. But by the time I've said that, we're probably looking at whether it's going to sell or not. So um, these do tend to do well. People do look at these garages in so many different ways. What's the breakup value? Is it 5K a unit? Do I need to refurb it at all? Could I let it out for £100 a month? £1,200 times 16. It's good income. It'll be on licenses. There's no resi stamp on this. It's classed as commercial property or non-residential stamp. 140 grand. Got to be thinking one or two more increments, and this is selling. So let's listen to what Andrew's saying. Oh, 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 140. Feels a little bit cheap. I don't know. I've done no research, but 16 garages. Uh, I think there was good value there. So we left lot number 13 by the looks of things, straight on to lot number 14, which is in Dover in Kent. 125 is the guide price, and it's a two-bedroom mid-terrace house. EPC rating D, and it has a rear yard. Okay, that is no bid accepted, offered and unsold. I think we will probably stop this at lot 15 is Essex. Lot 15A. Let's stop this at lot number 16. Okay, that takes us to Uxbridge. I think we started in Uxbridge. So that kind of brings us around quite nicely. We're in Colchester in Essex. Um, it's guided at 170. It is a three-bedroom detached bungalow. Nice and simple, good for downsizers. Normally needs a little refurb. Let's have a look internal images. Yeah, a bit of a brighten up. It doesn't look too bad. A little bit dingy. Uh, Looks like it might be a probate by the looks of things. Let's have a look. Didn't sell. No bid accepted. Oh, he's still on mute. Oh, he's on mute. They're not having the. Has it gone unsold? Have they started the bidding yet? They're having a private conversation. Okay, so from a seller's perspective, this is what you want to see. The auctioneer is not going to commence the bidding until he's comfortable that the people who have engaged in wanting to bid are online and ready. And he's declared he has a proxy. So let's see where he goes. 170 is the current bid. Okay, so he's obviously, as explained earlier on, he has an obligation to the proxy bidder to try and win it for them for as less as possible. So when the increment stopped on fives and tens, he's dropped it down to ones. That's a responsible thing for the auctioneer to do. And actually, the byproduct of that is it's brought in the bidders again. They're going up in ones and they're doing it a little bit faster than they were before. We're now at 219. 220. Don't know if that's a good price or not, but it is. You don't always see the proxy win, so I think he did the right thing there for the proxy. He made sure, for the seller's always wanting the highest price, and he has to kind of skirt a very very tight boundary here on the highest price of the vendor and his obligation to the proxy, but. He held on an extra 3 or 5 seconds there after he did the 3, 2, 1 count, just to see if the other bidder was going to come in. So there is no argument here from the seller, from the proxy bidder, from the other bidders that this was rushed or that something untoward had happened. So handled that well, I think. So this is a three-bedroom house guided at 330,000. Okay, 355 off of a 330. It's not the He's not going to get there from there. Doesn't look like this one is going to sell. Okay, this is our last lot today. Okay, 350. It's guided at 365, so he's motivating the bidders here. Let's crack on and see how he's doing. So all of you that are waiting, creating not the illusion, but making sure people know that there are other people there, and maybe dropping the bid down gets them engaged. We're now at 395, which is what it was asking for. He's trying to get to 400. I would argue that 400 is probably the reserve here. Okay, no one's interested at the 5K, so he's dropped down to twos. He's pushing. Yeah, it's unsold. He was definitely pushing for the 400 there. Okay, I think that's going to draw to close the video today. So just to kind of remind everybody, what we're looking at on the screen here is free to look at. You can click on the Auctioneers website and you can click view auction on their auction day, and it will bring this up if they're doing a live stream, or you'll be able to see the bidding increments if they're doing what they call like like an eBay style auction, a bidding widget. It's a window that pops up. You don't have to pay anything to watch the auction. You don't really have to sign up for anything unless you're looking at bidding. This is all publicly available, right? The auctions are for open to the public. It's made to be unfettered and open to everybody. So if you're not looking at the auctions because you think that there is a big, paywall you have to get behind to get there, you don't. You can be made. You can get comfortable bidding at auction by watching them. The more of these things you watch, the more things you see, the more you understand, the more you build experience and confidence and comfort in what it is that you're going to do if buying at auction is something that you're interested in. So thank you very much for joining us today. Leave any comments. Let us know if you're liking this series. We'll keep doing it. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.